And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. I'm Dean Beckman, joined by the Sports Information Director for St. Mary's, Donnie Netto, and we are here to talk all about St. Mary's athletics. And Donnie, the winter sports teams officially get underway this weekend. A little bit later on in the program, we'll be talking to Jamison Rusthoven. Jamison is the head coach for the men's basketball team, so that gets fired up this weekend. Women's basketball unofficially gets underway with an exhibition game against Winona State this weekend. Women's hockey has its first home matchup. Men's hockey is in full force. They're playing ranked teams already, so this is a really exciting, fun time of year.
Yeah, it really is, and we'll get to talk a little bit about the end of the fall season with volleyball in the MIAC playoffs. You've got cross country just finishing up with the NCAA regionals this weekend, so it's the crossover time, and it's an exciting time in that we had some playoff action in the fall seasons, and now we get to start heading into the winter seasons. A lot of expectation for some of the winter sports, and it's going to be exciting to get Jamison out here and talk a little bit about the men's basketball team, and really, as we were kind of talking off camera, maybe talk a little bit about some of the rules changes that are taking effect in college basketball. So as you said, it's an exciting time, and looking forward to everything getting rolling.
I think the NCAA makes those rules changes just to keep the sports information directors on their toes a little bit. You get too complacent otherwise.
Yeah, right? I think these rules changes probably affect the basketball coaches much more than they do for the SIDs.
Yeah. All right, so we'll have Jamison in just a few minutes, but where to begin? So much to talk about with St. Mary's athletics right now. So volleyball just concluded its season, Donnie, gets to the second round of the MIAC tournament, a big 3-0 win in round one, but unfortunately that meant their second round opponent was Gustavus. And Gustavus was undefeated in conference play heading into that game, and they remained so as they won over St. Mary's 3-0, ending the Cardinals season.
Yeah, and there was a reason they were the regular season conference champs. What a phenomenal team they have over in St. Peter, and it was a great match, and I think you got to tip your hats to the Cardinals. They had a fantastic run. They get that big 3-0 win over Concordia in the opening round of the playoffs, and then they did fall to Gustavus, but third year in a row they've made it to the conference semifinals, so that's certainly something to hang your hat at. And you look at the conference, or the Cardinals season, 3 conference losses to St. Benedict, to Bethel, and to Gustavus. All 3 of those teams are now playing in the NCAA tournament. So it was a great year for the Cardinals, and the teams that they lost to, you can take a look at and say, hey, they're not only the best in the conference, but also some of the best in the country. So it was a great year for Coach Lester and the seniors that they had. I'm certainly going to give a shout out to Lex Krogstad, a phenomenal year for her. 4 years with 500 or more digs. She finishes second in the program history in digs with over 2,000. So a great year for her, a great career for her, and certainly one of the several seniors that are going to be missed when we talk about them next year.
Right. The Cardinals ended up 8-3 in conference play, 20-10 overall, so a terrific season for the volleyball team. When we had Coach Lester in, he talked about the strength of the conference. So many of our other coaches do that too, and I think it's critical for people to understand that is not just coach speak. I mean, that
Absolutely.
is the truth with the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference in so many sports. It's
like
probably the top D3 conference.
Like I said with the volleyball, you look at it, the top 3 teams in the conference are all playing in the national tournament, and 2 of those are at largest because Gustavus won the conference tournament, so they get the automatic bid. But Bethel and St. Ben's are both in it because of how good they are, and you're right that. We've talked about it so much, and I know that Coach Rusthoven will talk about it on the men's basketball side. Our conference is so deep and so talented in every sport that there's no question that in Division III we are certainly one of the top conferences in the country.
Yeah, earlier this year we talked about last year's female athlete of the year. It was Mackie Fadness, and she got her 2-sport senior season off on the right foot in volleyball as she led the team in kills this year and led them in a lot of different categories. So we mentioned Lex Krogstad, but also Mackie Fadness, a terrific volleyball season.
Absolutely, and now she's got to trade her sneakers in for skates and get on the ice and man that blue line for the Cardinal women's hockey team. I'm sure she'll be in the lineup Friday night when they open up at home against Bethel.
Right, and we'll have that game against Bethel right here on HBC. So we'll talk about women's hockey in just a minute. But Donnie, the men's hockey team, they just concluded a huge weekend where they faced 2 ranked teams and came away in essence undefeated. They tied the first game and then ended up with a 2-goal win in the second game.
Yeah, it was a big weekend for the Cardinals, not only for the fact that they were playing 2 ranked teams, but after their performance in the showcase with the 2 losses, Coach Moore really needed a bounce back. And you look at the schedule and you're going, man, we're 0-2 going into last weekend, playing 2 teams ranked in the top 10. It could be really a tough start. And here they go and they tie Eau Claire, ranked number 8 in the country, 3-3. And then they turn around the next night and beat River Falls, ranked number 10 in the country, and beat them 4-2. So it was a huge weekend, not only from a standpoint of just kind of getting back on track, but building some confidence, some momentum as they head into the conference openers this weekend against Bethel.
Right, so let me ask you, did the Cardinals really, I think, need that weekend from a momentum standpoint? Because they had played in the MIAC Showcase, and I know things didn't go the way Coach Moore wanted them to in that one as the season got started. So I think maybe mentally they just needed a good weekend like that to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit.
No question. And, Coach Moore's talked about it a lot, that the showcase is very tough for them because they spend much of the first week of practice in tryouts. So they don't get a lot of time to work on team systems and special teams, which obviously was a factor in the 2 showcase games. Now they had a full week of preparation to get ready for those 2 games against the Wisconsin schools, and you could see the results as they were able to focus on that, and I think that made a huge difference. I think that the neat thing you're seeing with this year's team already, 4 games in, is you're not going to be able to pick one person and say, this is the guy we've got to stop. They scored 3 goals against Eau Claire from 3 different people. They scored 4 goals against River Falls from 4 different people. So they're getting scoring from a lot of different people. Jay Heinley has really kind of stepped up, and he's got 3 goals in the last 3 Cardinal games, his first 3 of his career, which I didn't realize that last year he didn't score a goal as a freshman. So congrats to him. And it seems like everybody's kind of stepping up their game. Phil Heinley, Jay's brother, played very well in nets, both against the Blue Golds and against the Falcons, so they're kind of solid there. He's got 2 very good backups behind him, and they're getting solid performance from all 4 lines. And if you can do that, if Martin Gruss can go and not have more than a goal in a weekend series, and we still come out with a win and a tie, that's very balanced scoring, and that's certainly going to bode well for them in the future.
And I know Bob Kinney had a goal, and when you get Kinney and Gruss working together, that can be an unstoppable combination.
Absolutely, it's a scary line, and you saw that a lot last year, and I expect to see a lot of that again this year. But I think early on in the season, if they don't have to rely on Marty and Bob to do all the offensive work, it'll allow them to kind of relax a little bit, not press, and kind of just let things happen. And really, those 2, that's what needs to happen. They have to realize that there are people that'll be able to pick up the slack if a team is able to shut them down.
Right. Quick preview of Bethel this upcoming weekend. That seems to be a team, regardless of what the records are, St. Mary's and Bethel always have close hockey games.
Well, it's going to be a scary series. Bethel comes into it 0-3-1, but when you look at that, every game's been decided by a goal or less. They took Stevens Point, which was ranked number 2 in the country, into overtime before losing. So it's not going to be a cakewalk. I know that the Cardinals scored 5 goals against Bethel twice last year in the 2 wins. I would highly figure that this is going to be another 1-goal series, and I think that with the way the Cardinals play and the opportunities that they have, with the depth that they have, I think they'll be able to come out on top, but it's definitely going to be 2 hard-fought games.
Right, absolutely. And so now women's hockey, Donnie, they're boasting right now the Player of the Week in Mara Shields as she gets the MIAC Player of the Week because of the number of shots on goal that she was able to stop against Superior.
Yeah, absolutely a crazy season opener for the Cardinals. And the nice thing for them was they got the week off. They didn't play this past weekend, so they were able to kind of rest up and get ready for their opener. 2 weeks ago, they played Superior, and they opened with a 5-2 win. Seemed like everything was under control, and they had a lot of things going their way. The next night, they fall 2-0, and they gave up 81 shots on goal. And I'm not making that up. They gave up 81 shots on goal.
Have you ever heard of something like that?
That's a school record.
Yeah,
it's a school record. Mara made 79 saves, which also is a school record by 24 shots. That's a school record.
Large
and
margin,
she was Player of the Week for her efforts. Ranked 6th in the country for most saves in a single game. And she was the reason it was a 2-0 game. After 2 periods at 0-0, she's made 55 saves, which was the old school record. So the 24 saves she made in the third period just tacked on to the record she had already tied after 2 periods. Just a great performance by her. Unfortunately, maybe not the outcome that Coach Manor was hoping for after the 5-2 win on Friday, but a 1-1 split against Superior is not a bad way to start the season. We're able to take some time to work on a few things defensively to hopefully shore up giving up 81 shots, but they'll be ready for this weekend against Bethel.
And so, Donnie, this weekend, Friday night, right here on HBC, 7 p.m. against Bethel, we'll have the broadcast for you, a little preview of this Bethel-St. Mary's women's hockey matchup.
Well, I think the thing this year is last year, the 2 regular season meetings they had against each other, St. Mary's came away with 2 wins, both by a goal. But Bethel had the upper hand in the playoff game that they had, and they beat us 7-1. So I think there are a lot of people on this team that would like to extract a little revenge maybe in what happened in that playoff game, because that really wasn't one of our best performances, and I know that they'd like to maybe extract some revenge while also opening the conference on a high note. And that's that's really the bottom line is they need the Friday performance at Superior to come back this weekend against Bethel.
All right, and then finally, Donnie, the women's basketball team, they unofficially start the season right here on HBC, 7 p.m. on Saturday when the Cardinals take on Winona State University. It's an exhibition game for the Cardinals. It counts for the Warriors, but that'll be the debut on the court for Brent Paulerai, the new head women's basketball coach.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and we kind of talked about this with our enter there, in that we're excited to see what these basketball teams have to offer. They've been practicing for a week. I'm sure both of them are chomping at the bit to get their seasons underway. They've I know that they've each had a little bit of a scrimmage and whatnot, but this is going to be their first real official game. It's odd that it's an exhibition game for us, and yet it's a real game for Winona State. But Coach Paulerai is going to play it just like it was a regular game, and I'm really excited to see what this team has in store. They get Bridget Pethke back. She was out most of last year with an injury, and she'll be back. A phenomenal player for the first 2 years of her career, and it was unfortunate her injury last year. I'm excited to see what Emma Schaefer can do coming off of a soccer season, now right back into basketball, and he's got a number of returning players mixed in with several very talented freshmen. So it's an exciting time, and I know that Brent's really excited to get the season going and kind of see where he's at. And so they'll play on Saturday, and then they'll have the week to kind of work out the kinks, and then they head up to St. Benedict for a couple of games against Crown and St. Benedict the following weekend.
All right. Also starting the season Friday night, the men's basketball team. And so we'll talk to Jamison Rusthoven, the head coach for the Cardinals men's team. That's next here on HBC TV 25.
From the very beginning, HBC has been a leader in advanced technology, community service, and customer care. We are proud of our local roots and hometown values. Dedicated to making a difference, we understand how much our communities benefit by having world-class technology at their fingertips, and having local team members that live in the neighborhoods we serve helps HBC to keep in touch with the needs of each community in a very personalized way. We care about each community, and we are here to stay. Call 888-474-9995 and start experiencing the HBC difference today.
Want the latest news on St. Mary's University athletics? Watch the Cardinals Nest on HBC TV 25. Dean Beckman and SMU Sports Information Director Donnie Netto will talk about the past week in Cardinal athletics, highlighting the best in each Cardinal sports team. Player and coach guests will add their stories and insight each week with new shows Thursdays at 5 p.m. and replays Fridays at 6:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 7:30 a.m. on HBC TV 25.
And we are back here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC TV 25. Dean Beckman, Donnie Netto, and now joined by the men's basketball coach for St. Mary's University, Jamison Rusthoven. Jamison, thanks for being on the show today. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time on the Cardinals Nest because we took a short hiatus shortly after you became head coach. So welcome to the Cardinals Nest.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Good to have you on. So you're in your third season now as coach for the Cardinals. Maybe talk about how you have tried to change the culture for St. Mary's men's basketball and sort of where you're at with that culture shift.
You know what? I don't know if I would say change the culture. I think there's been some good pieces there for a long time. It's just a matter of reshuffling those pieces sometimes. I know many of the coaches that were here before me. They worked hard. You know, now it was my turn to bring my ingredients, my mix to it, my experience. So I'm pleased with where we're at. I'm excited to be going into this third season, and you know, we'll find out in a couple months where we're at.
Right.
Kicked off this season with practice 15th of October in that area. So it's been almost a month. Are the guys chomping at the bit to get going on Friday? Are they ready for that, you know, for the season really to kind of officially get underway?
They're ready. I don't know if I am, but they are ready. Yeah, today is practice 19, so it's been good. Our red and white scrimmage went well on Saturday, so that was pleasing to see them compete a little bit. The thing they're chomping at the bit is more to see somebody else. They're tired of looking at each other and competing against each other. You know, that only goes so far. So this will be a good weekend for us to really see somebody else at some high levels. So I'm excited about that.
Which brings me back to my next question. Before we kind of preview the season, interesting schedule for you in that you open up with a game that, as we were talking with the women, a game that counts against Crossroads on Friday. Then you step out and you play 2 exhibition games, Omaha and Sioux Falls. Can you talk a little bit about the plan there in terms of how that's set up? Because you do play one that goes on the schedule, right, on the record, and then you play the 2 exhibitions.
Part of it is kind of how it fell. You know, when you're trying to put schedules together, all those dates, and with the NCAA telling you can only start at a certain date, you know, putting it all together makes it kind of interesting. And for me, I've always tried to give our guys experiences since I've been here. I've been fortunate enough that my network is pretty big, and I've got a lot of friends that are at a lot of different levels. So, you know, that's where somebody like Nebraska Omaha comes in. Yes, they're Division I, but it's an experience for our guys. Will be the second game in the new Baxter Arena, and it's going to be an experience in playing in front of, you know, 7,000 people, and it's a fun thing. You know, so I try to provide that. So that kind of fell that way. But as far as Crossroads, you know, they're a local school coming out of Rochester, so it's also nice to be able to give back to the community, as well as, you know, have an opponent that's close. They're trying to build as well as we are. And that's the one that really matters for this weekend. Not that Nebraska doesn't. That, you know, we want to compete well and we want to see what happens. But obviously, as you said, Crossroad goes on the schedule, so we want to make sure that's our number one priority as we move forward.
And it'll be an interesting. It's an interesting team that you've got heading out there on Friday, and that you've got some senior leadership. You haven't had that.
No, we've had no seniors yet.
You've got 3 seniors. And you know, then you've got Wiley as a junior, and Chet Schlosser, and then you've got some younger guys. So you've got all the pieces. How do you put it together?
I would say we're closer to having all the pieces. I don't know if we'll say all the pieces yet, because a majority of our 11, 12 will still be freshmen. And the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores and juniors. But that said, they're awfully talented. This is one of the best classes I've been able to put together, not only on my watch but as an assistant. At previous schools, I'm so excited about that. But at the same time, you know, they're going to have peaks and valleys. The speed and the strength that this game is played with at our level is something freshmen take a long time to get used to. So there'll be peaks and valleys there, but at the same time, our upperclassmen will help us move forward big time. Okay, and I'm excited about having seniors for the first time, because this league you win with juniors and seniors, and we have a nice balance. And I'm excited to see where they go with that, because we have a great leadership group with as you said, Wiley and Shu and Connor and those guys. But we have a really talented group as well.
So, Coach, how do you help the players adjust to those peaks and valleys? Because I know your expectations are to win the games, but as you said, with a mix of seniors and a lot of freshmen who will see significant playing time, there will be some ups and downs. So as a head coach, how do you deal with that, and then how do you try to help your players deal with that?
Well, in the past, the last 2 years, we've not had an opportunity to deal with that, because the freshmen have been thrown to the wolves, and you go as they do. Now this time, with 3 seniors and 3 juniors in an 11-man, 12-man rotation, Now all of a sudden you can move and hide those kids a little bit so that when they're playing well, it's really noticeable. When they're struggling, then it's not so noticeable because you can rely on the upperclassmen. That's why for this year, it's going to be such a big difference, I believe, just in the past, because we don't have the freshmen realistically being baptized by fire. They can develop on their own pace right now, which is going to make us a pretty successful team.
You know, Coach, we were talking in the first segment, volleyball-wise, about how good the conference is. And I said that kind of goes across the board. Can you just touch on that in terms of men's basketball? Because I know it's an amazing conference when it comes to talent.
And that's the thing that people look at. A lot of our wins have come the last 2 years out of non-conference. And what people, it's hard to remember is that, again, coaches poll will come out, we'll probably be finished or picked to finish 11th. I understand that, but that's 11th of the best. I mean, we're in one of the top conferences in the nation as far as Division III level goes. So, we're trying to move up to be the best of the best. Right now, we're, the worst of the best, but we want to move that up. So that's the thing I think gets lost a lot with our conference, is that if you look at our conference outside of our conference, there's very few conferences that can compete with us on any given night, any team in the league, 1 through 11. And that's what I'm excited about, and that's why I was excited to come back to the league.
Coach, when fans watch games in person at the St. Mary's Gymnasium or on HBC, what do you hope they'll see when they come to watch the St. Mary's men's team? Do you have a certain style you're shooting for? I think that word gets overdone because the style you want is to win games, however that happens, obviously. But what are you hoping the fans will expect to see from a St. Mary's team?
Good basketball, guys that work hard, guys that like each other, that enjoy playing together. I think that's a fun thing to see, to be able to watch teams that come together. I mean, right now the hot team is Golden State in the NBA, and they're all exciting to watch because they get along so well on the floor, and they have each other's back, and that's what we're really trying to push for, because if we can do that, then the rest of it will take care of itself.
I think we've talked, I'm sorry, Dean, but we've talked a lot, Coach, in the last couple of years, and it was evident right away when you took over, that hard work. Every game that I've seen you guys play at St. Mary's, there's never been a time where they've thrown in the towel, no matter what the score has. Obviously, you instilled that right away, that this team was going to work as hard as they possibly can.
And again, I think it's been here. I mean, and when I was in the league as an assistant at some other schools, St. Mary's has always worked hard. It was a matter of putting the pieces together now. And, we were in most ball games up to about 8 minutes in the second half. Now, what I'm excited about is I think we have a group that can finish that 8 minutes and will not have a big drop-off. So I think that's going to be the big difference for us, and the fact that they're really, really good and they're really, really bonded on the floor is going to make our program really exciting this year and fun to watch.
Finally, Coach, I want to ask you about the rules changes, because the shot clock goes from 35 to 30 seconds. How does that impact the team? And
that 5 seconds really won't make a big difference. Okay. The ones that I'm looking for to find out if it really does is going to be the pushing and the obstruction of, they call it the flow. I think people are going to see a lot of hands getting called right away. So that's going to be the big change that I think people will notice, regardless of the level, right away.
Right. And was that the impetus for changing that and decreasing the shot clock 5 seconds, was to help the flow of the game? Or
that's part of it. I think they're trying to become universal and go trickle-down effect from NBA through college. Some of it we don't hear. We just get dictated to. Right. But I do think long term, a lot of it will be the offense will go higher, scoring will go higher, and I think once we get used to it, it's going to be beneficial for our sport.
All right, Jamison Rusthoven, the head coach for the men's basketball team. Thanks for joining us. Good luck Friday against Crossroads and the rest of the season.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, stay tuned here to the Cardinals Nest. We'll be right back with the Student Athlete Spotlight. We'll be spotlighting McKenna Parent. That's next here on HBC.
At HBC, we know it's often the little details that the customer will remember, and that's why we are committed to being attentive in all facets of our business. We strive to provide industry-leading products and services, all while providing unparalleled personal care. HBC's customer service and technical support are provided locally within each service market and are available by phone or by visiting the local offices. Call 474-9995 and start experiencing the HBC difference today.
Tune in for the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 as a panel of local sports journalists tackle the hottest topics on everything from local high school and collegiate sports to regional discussion about the Twins, Brewers, Vikings, and Packers. With the Power Play Fantasy Football Challenge to the Rant of the Week and NFL Pick'em, the Sports Buzz is fast-paced and sure to entertain. That's new episodes of the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 with replays only on HBC TV 25.
And welcome back to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. Dean Beckman, Donnie Netto. And Donnie, it's time now for our Student Athlete Spotlight here on the Cardinals Nest. Each week we take a look at a student, and this week Ricky Palermo had a chance to sit down with women's hockey senior player McKenna Parent. And so here's Ricky now with McKenna.
Seems like just yesterday, the St. Mary's women's hockey team was hosting the opening playoff game in the MIAC tournament. Tonight, some 8 months later, we are on the cusp of the first conference game for this Cardinal team, who are led by a strong senior class. McKenna Parent is a forward from Anoka, Minnesota, and she has been a staple on this Cardinals offense for the last 3 years. I met with the senior to learn just how she hopes her final season will play out.
Well, it makes me feel obviously both really excited, but sad in a way too, just because I've been playing hockey my entire life. And really, in reality, I have 25 games of my career left. So it's both exciting, like I want to end on a really awesome note. So it's kind of actually a little bit of motivation, I guess, being a senior, knowing I only have a limited number of games left. I've been playing since I was 4 or 5, I think, so probably about like 18 years. And I'm from a hockey family. We have 5 kids, and 4 out of 5 play hockey. So after it's done, I have 2 younger siblings that both play. So I guess I'll just support them as best as I can and kind of live through them and go to their games, and hopefully they will have awesome high school and college careers as well.
Last year, the Cardinals made the playoffs for the first time since the 2009-2010 season. That accomplishment turns opinions around across the MIAC and across campus.
You know, making the playoffs last year for us just meant a ton to our program, just because it was the first time in 5 years that we had made the playoffs. So given the awesome group of seniors that we had and just the upperclassmen group that we had last year, it was really inspiring for us, just because we know that this year we need to build on that.
The Cardinals lost their captain, Brianna Peterson, a 2-time All-MIAC recipient, Mary DiBartolo, an alternate captain, and defenseman Mackenzie Klimek, all to graduation, which opens the door for new leaders to arise.
You know, not gonna lie, they are really big 3 holes in our systems. Both Bree and Mary and the forwards were top 2 and 3 scorers and points for their 4 years. So obviously that leaves some holes that we need to fill. But on the other hand, it's a really good opportunity for people to step up. Given that we'll be able to step up. But like I said, they're really big losses. And same with Ken's on the blue line. We're going to miss her back there. But hopefully that gives other people a chance to step up and show what they can do with them gone. But they're missed. It's really exciting being able to be a senior and finally be like the top of the team and be leaders. I think that's the main thing that this senior group needs to do, is we just need to lead by example and, you know, show the underclassmen what it means to, you know, work hard and really put your all into everything and hopefully get the results that we want. So I think for this group of seniors, we all are really good friends. A couple of us are even roommates. So I think just being able to work together and just really lead this program in the right direction for the next couple years after we leave is going to be really important for us.
Tomorrow night, the Bethel Royals come back to Winona, a familiar foe who ended the Cardinals' season in the playoffs last year. It's a new season now, but St. Mary's is still looking for revenge.
Oh my gosh, of course. Everyone's really excited to play Bethel, or their first MIAC series, like you said. And I mean, it's really exciting that way, because they were our last game last year, and now they're our first game. So this is going to be definitely a lot of revenge, a lot of battling out there. It's going to be a really good series. I'm excited.
Finally, McKenna was kind enough to share some words of advice to her freshman teammates.
Honestly, the advice that I would give to freshmen is really just take everything in and enjoy every minute, every practice. Just because I feel like coming in as a freshman, you think I have 4 full years. I have 100 college games to play. I have however many practices. You know what? It becomes a long season. So looking at that point, the start of your freshman season, it seems like you have a long time, but I feel like I was just there. So I would say really enjoy every moment of it. Enjoy all the road trips. Don't be I hope they're not too hard on themselves. I know that I've kind of had problems with that in the past, just because you want to do well. So I just think really have fun, be able to have fun with your teammates on and off the ice, and if you do that, good things should go from there and wins will come.